Hey friends, today I'm coming on to create a little mini album using my We Are Memory Keepers cinch. And I was actually inspired to create this by crafting to Cope. She used one of the Dollar Tree index card kind of holders that have the index cards with the spirals on them. She actually used those to create her little mini album or journal, and I didn't have any of those, and I wasn't going to go out and buy any, and I didn't have any index cards, and I also wasn't going to go out and buy them, but I do have the cinch machine. I have the mini cinch, and I have scrapbook paper, and so I just like, you know what, I'm going to create one myself, being inspired by what she created. So I've created one already. I just took some 12 by 12 paper, cut it down, also added some cardstock in here as well. And then I added a couple sheets in here of this thinner paper as well. And then I am still learning how to use my cinch, so my coils aren't perfect. But she added some trim at the top of hers, and I thought that was super cute. So I added some trim and decorated with some flowers and a cut apart. And then I added the tabs. So the Dollar Tree index holder has 3 tabs, but it's optional if you want to add them or not. But you have front and back pages, and you've got, like I said, you've got some solid sheets, some of these thinner white sheets. And then I do have the tabs on a couple places. So you can decide, you know, you want to have like certain things in certain areas. And you could make this as thick or as thin as you want. I think I ended up adding anywhere between 13 to 15 pages to mine. So it's just a little thin album. That way when you start adding pictures, you won't have something that's out to here. So let's make one together. So I am using my cinch, but if you have the Dollar Tree index holder, I will link Crafting to Cope's video down below. She basically removes some of the index card and decorates it. So if you have that and you want to use that, I'll definitely link that video down below for you. Or if you have the cinch and you want to do it this way, I will show you how I am doing it. So with the cinch, I want to make sure you can see. Let me turn this around. So with the cinch, you have this like ruler here, and you have this area, and then you have a chart or like a key over here. So my papers are measuring 4 by 6. So it's a whole, it ends in a whole number. So we're going to line up this little piece here. I'm going to have to set this down to do this. We're going to line this up in the A slot. All right, so we're going to line that up in the A slot. And because of my new tripod angle, I'm going to kind of do this backwards, this first one, so you can see, and then I'll flip it around and do it the other way. So you put this in the A, and then you're going to put your paper in all the way up to this, and then make sure you push it all the way up in here. If you don't push it all the way up in to where you're punching it, you will not punch properly, and you'll punch at the edge of your page. So put that in, and then you just push down, and you have your sections punched. And then all you do is flip your cardstock or your paper over. Again, put it to this little dam here, this little, put this to this little wall here, put it all the way inside, and punch. All right, now I'm going to turn it around and do it this way. So again, I'm going to put it into that wall, punch, flip, and punch. And then you have your squares punched. So let me just grab a scrap here. Let me show you what happens if you don't push this all the way up in here. Then you're going to punch really close to the edge, or you're going to punch over the edge. Kind of put it enough where I punch over the edge. You see how this comes over the edge and this is at the edge where it's going to tear easy. So that's why you want to make sure you put it in there. And I'm not very good about putting it like straight in there. I have difficulties doing that. But as long as you're lining it up pretty well, that's all you need. Now you're done with this part here, so you can put your little thing away so you don't lose that. And now you just need to decide how you want to build your book. So I think I want to have a pattern paper on the front again. So let's maybe do something like this, and I'm going to end with this pink one. And then you want to line up your edges. I can see that I have one that didn't fully punch through. So I'm going to take my pokey tool and try to get that to come out. There we go. And then you want to make sure that everything is lined up at the top there. And if you want to, you can attach these together with like clips or binder clips. And now you need your spine part. And you can get a big bundle of different colors from Amazon that are fairly well priced. So I think I'm going to use a lime green because I think since we have this orange, I think the lime green would be cool. And then you're going to add your rings on to this side here. And the closed rings are going to go on first. Okay, it took me a minute to get that, but we have that on there. And then you're going to start adding your pages. And I like to take my front cover and put it on facing up first. And then I'll add the back cover. And then I'll just start adding the inside pages. And I add little groups at a time. Once I have all my papers on, then you're going to trim the wire on the other side of your last coil. And I'm using these wire nippers from Amazon. They're amazing. And you're just going to snip that and then save this part for another project. And I think I'm going to turn some lights on. I swear, every time I sit down to craft, the sun is out big and bright. And as soon as I start filming, the sun goes away. All right, now that we have our paper on our rings, we're going to carry this. We're going to pick this up carefully. And then we're going to use the back part of the cinch here to cinch it. And I'm going to put this sideways. So hopefully you get a good view. And I really struggle with this part. But you're going to want to add your rings in here. And I like to kind of add my rings like this with my paper barely in the holes. And then you're going to start at the far end. And then you're going to push, you're going to hold it and push down and cinch. All right. And then you just want to move to the other end here and repeat the process. Push down and cinch. And then you're going to have these two little ends here. If you're able to, you can take wire tools and curl that. If you're not like me, if you can't do that, then you can just snip them. So I'm going to carry this over to the trash can and just snip that long edge off. I don't want that going on the floor and getting in anybody's feet. All right, so we are done with the cinch tool now. So let's put this away. And it's so hard to do one-handed. There we go. Let's move on. So I put my cover at the back like this so that when I flipped it around, I had where our coils come together. You can kind of see how these are really tight together and these are not quite as tight together. So I'm definitely going to need a little help getting those tighter together. But for the sake of this video, we're going to call this guy completed. And you have your cute little mini album. Then you can decide if you want to add some tabs to it or if you want to leave it one large album and then you can decorate it. You could add, tip-ins in here. You could add tags. Like I've got some leftover pieces from one of the extra pages I had. If you want to add a pocket in here on the side, if you want to do a corner pocket, like you decorate this, you fill this up to your heart's content. But I think this is a fun way of using the cinch tool instead of buying the index card holder at the Dollar Tree, especially with prices going up. So let's go ahead. I've got my glue gun on. Let's decorate this really quickly. I've pulled out some of my flowers. I've got my favorite little spiders from Hobby Lobby. And I've got some ephemera here. So I have another one of these spider webs. I cut this one in half. So I think I'm going to repeat that process. And I'm going to lay this here and then trim this off. And I'm working with a smaller area because I have everything around me. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue on here. Not really worrying about the glue showing because it's going to be covered up with some flowers. And then I need to trim this here and here. And then we have our little spider web. And then I think I'm going to do, since we have orange on here, I'm going to do black. And I kind of wonder if I want to do one of these purple ones. And we'll do, and these flowers were all created and gifted to me. I think they're so fun. Let's do another one of the ones with the spider, and I kind of have those together, and then I was adding I don't think I have any more of the flowers that I created in here. But we do have this one. We can add this one. And then I took some smaller ones and added it on the edges. Something like that. Let's go with that. So let's add this one down first. In the corner. And this flower was gifted to me as well. And then we'll add these larger ones next. And then let's add these paper flowers from Amazon. in the corners. There we go. And then I took some black pom-poms and added it in to kind of fill in some of the area. So let's grab a couple of pom-poms. And then I also used one of these spiders. So let's put this little spider here. And these are from BB Craft, I believe. I'm going to kind of tuck that under that flower there. And then I'm going to use my little gem pin here. And I am so sorry that this keeps shifting. I'm not sure why it keeps doing that, but I am using a different tripod, so I'm not quite sure it's the best tripod for this. So I'm just going to add some of the little pom-poms around to kind of fill in some of these areas, because I don't have any really small flowers created. Something I need to be working on creating. And I kind of think the little mini pom-poms kind of remind me of like little spider eggs. All right, let's do one right here. And there we go. Cute. And then I took one of the Hobby Lobby spiders next. And I like to add a little extra glue here. And added the little spider on the spider web. Cute. Okay, now let's find a sentiment. Or I did pull out these Dollar Tree stickers as well. We could do a little cluster of Dollar Tree stickers. So I want to add one more like in the background. So let's do that. And I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue just to make sure this sticks. So let's add some of the pumpkins there. And then I'd like to still have a sentiment. Let's see. I've got some of these words. We've got fright, witch, eek, let's see, should we do eek, and should we still do a ghost maybe? Okay, let's put the boo back. We'll save that for another time. So let's put the eek down. I'm going to grab my foam tape and my non-stick scissors here. And we've got a little dimension there. So let's put this here. All right, I think that's good. So let's put that there to bring it up at the same level. And then we'll put a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here. Let's put the eek down. And then let's add our little ghost. All right, and I think for a finishing touch, I'm going to add another Hobby Lobby spider over on one of the pumpkins here. There we go. Cute. Now we can go in and add some gems, or I think it would be fun to also use some like distress inks to splash on here. But for now, I think this is done. All I need to do is add a little bit of ribbon to the top. And now I have these two cute little mini albums completed using my cinch. I'm so happy to find a project to use with my mini cinch. And I think these are super cute and would make really cute like brag books if you wanted to make them for like holiday, or even if you wanted to do like a Christmas one and give it to a parent or a grandparent. So cute. So thanks guys for stopping by for this craft with me, and thank you Crafting to Cope for inspiring me to create these. All right guys, have a wonderful day. Remember, all items I use will be linked down in the description box, and you'll find Crafting to Cope's video where she used a Dollar Tree index holder to create her memory album. All right, bye.